Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the evening now. No, not where I ask you for money, but if you want to donate, there's cards on your table and QR codes and all that. You can start doing that now, so you don't have to stand in line later. We're not letting you out without giving a little more money. But it's that time of the evening where we're going to talk about our keynote speaker. You know, I first became aware of Steve Bannon with Breitbart News. And, you know, Breitbart really opened a lot of people's eyes and changed the game. Steve went on to be the CEO of President Trump's 2016 campaign. And obviously that changed the course of history. He was also in the Trump White House, Trump's senior advisor, and guided, you know, the first year or so of Trump's presidency. And so we are truly, truly blessed to have him here now. He hosts a daily podcast. Can everybody hear me okay? He hosts a daily podcast called The War Room, which I'm sure you know about. Yeah. He's one of the most passionate, insightful, bright, incredible people in our movement. And talk about taking out the rhinos. There's no bigger advocate of that than, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Bannon.
Yo! We got some fighters here tonight. Hell yeah, we're in Texas. Not just that, we're in Tarrant County. Thank you. Look, it was a hell of a day today, was it not, in Washington, D.C.? Yeah? And we saw the entire issue, the entire problem we've got, not just in Washington, D.C., but the problem we've got in Texas, right? President Trump's trying to be magnanimous, right? President Trump is trying to be a global leader, to bring peace to the Eurasian landmass, correct? And he's got Zelensky in there, and we know that in the vital national security interests of the United States of America is not the Russian-speaking eastern border of Ukraine, correct? The vital national security interest of the United States is the border on the Rio Grande Valley and in South Texas. And what did President Trump do in the last 24 hours? He threatened to put 25% tariffs on Mexico and got the president down there to finally, after 30 years, cough up 29 CAPA regimes of the cartels, correct? That's leadership. That's the border we care about, right? That is what's trying to destroy Texas. Hell, we have 100,000 fentanyl deaths every year, right? That's what President Trump is worried about, the vital national security interests of the United States. Now, he's being a peacemaker as part of this rapprochement with Russia. And we need a rapprochement with Russia because the Russian people were our greatest ally in World War II. 65 million Russians died either through starvation or battlefield against the Germans, against the Wehrmacht. All those leaders of NATO, all of them, virtually, didn't fight with us in World War II. England did, some French did, a handful of Poles did, Jack Posobiec. More than a handful, okay, a lot of them. But their leaders were all supported the fascists in Spain, in Italy, in Germany, in Vichy France, in Norway, in Scandinavia, in Sweden, my beloved Ireland. They were not on our side. The Russian people were on our side. It's time. President Trump wants to bring peace to the world, and here he wants peace and prosperity. And Zelensky has the gall. Zelensky has the gall to show up to the White House, and he's going to sit there, and here's why it happened. He went to the Hay Adams Hotel right before, and all these rhino senators right? All these rhino senators had a meeting with him, had a breakfast with him, and he thinks he's got cards. He thinks he can control it, right? He goes into Trump and he's arrogant as all get out. And Trump says, yo, dude, you have no cards, right? You have no cards. Without our money and our troops, hell, for the first time in our history, the first time we had the president of France and we had the prime minister of the United Kingdom within 72 hours of each other. And what are they doing? They're behind closed doors and they're talking about, oh, we want to put up troops, we're going to put up money. They have put up no money and they've put up no troops and they're not going to. They want an American security guarantee and they want American money. We don't have the money and we don't have the troops and we have no interest in Ukraine and two Slavic entities going at each other. We have what we're concerned about is the southern border of the state of Texas. Hell, they got the CIA now. All the assets are coming back for Ukraine. They're doing flights over Mexico. President Trump's getting ready he's trying to stop the kinetic part of the Third World War that's happening in the Eurasian landmass, right? In the Middle East and in Ukraine. But he's getting ready to start the kinetic part of the war against the cartels. They know that, right? We got to cut off their banking. We got to cut off their finance. We got to get down there. We got to do a paramilitary operation. We got to tell Mexico, step aside, because we're going to take them all out, and we're going to take them out now. They've killed 100,000 Americans a year. The Chinese Communist Party, this fentanyl is chemical warfare. This is the second opium war against our people. And the center of gravity of that is the great state of Texas. How can we sit here and accept this? Right? How have your local officials accepted this? How has your governor accepted this? You know what happened after President Trump, and this has never happened in American history. He showed the door to Zelensky. Zelensky's supposed to be there for lunch, and then he's going for a press conference. He sends everybody to the Roosevelt room, and he sits there, and he says, hey, Marco, you and Waltz go in there and tell him to get out of here, okay? Go, leave. He threw him off the lot. That's never happened. At the moment he threw him off the lot, what happened? On Fox News, who shows up on Fox News? Karl Rove. You heard of Karl Rove? You heard of Karl Rove? Well, hey, hang on. He tells me he's a Texan, right? He says he's from Texas. You know what? Another round of drinks for my people. You know what he said? Now listen, look what President Trump's trying to do. Every day, and this is amazing, President Trump has these bilats, but he has world leaders come, and guess what? He has a press availability, but then he takes 10 questions from the press. And then he's got the press conferences, or he's on the plane, or he's in the cabinet room. You're seeing American history in the making. They say there are decades in which nothing happens, and there are weeks in which decades happen. Hell, that's this week, and you see it all. President Trump wants to draw you in. You know why? He understands his power is with the American people. He wants the American people to see it. No more closed doors. In Washington, D.C., not in the room, not in the deal, right? He put MAGA, he put his supporters and all the American people, not just in the deal, he put you at the head of the table. And Karl Rove comes up there, and you know what he says? The problem today is that President Trump invited the press and did that publicly. He should have done it behind closed doors. Then they can work it out. Is that not how Austin runs? Is that not how D.C. runs? They want to do it behind closed doors. What are they trying to hide from us? You know what they're trying to hide. Their self-dealing, their corruption, their incompetence. President Trump will put it right out there. This never happened before in American history. And this is the faith that he has in people. And this shows you the central part of the problem is what you have here in Texas. Because as Tarrant County goes, so goes Texas, right? As Texas goes, so goes MAGA. As MAGA goes, so goes the United States of America. And as the United States of America goes, so goes the world. It's ground zero here. You know why? Amen. The world's an efficient market. George Soros, how much money did he put in here over years to turn Texas blue? Right? $400 million. And it got a little pink, right? It got a little pink. And then you guys stood up and had Trump's back. And what do we have today? Donald Trump won the 2024 race by 14 points. Hell, brother Ted Cruz won by 9. Because what you're doing is you're taking Texas off the map, right? That's a huge opportunity cost. It's you guys that are doing it. But now we need more Texas in Washington. We need it. We got to get tougher. We got to get meaner. Look, President Trump, remember, President Trump, that deal today, there are many people to his right, of which I consider myself one, that said, hey, here's what we ought to do, Mr. President. Walk away. Not one penny, not one troop. Tell the Europeans, if they're such big shots, you write the checks. We bailed them out in World War I. We bailed them out in World War II. We bailed them out in the Cold War. We're not going to do it again. We have to take care of America. It's got to be America first. It has to be American citizens first. Where's Todd Bensman? Todd Bensman here? Bensman. Todd Bensman, where are you, brother? Bensman, where are you? Stand up. This is one of the bravest guys. Hold it. We got to get this guy. Hold it. This guy has risked his life going the Darien Gap for years to show America this invasion of the country. An invasion that took place and came through the Rio Grande Valley, and it came through South Texas. And hopefully one day, in not too short future, he's going to be working with Tom Homan to begin the mass deportation that has to happen. And this is politically what's going to win for us. The most Hispanic county in this country is Starr County, Texas, right? Hard scrabbled, 97% Hispanic, working class. Hillary Clinton, and I thought I did a pretty good job in 16. We lost it by 60%, 60 points. President Trump in 2024 won it by 16 points. The working class Hispanics are with us. The middle class Hispanics are with us. 39% of African American men voted for Donald Trump. Our coalition grows every day, grows more powerful every day. But we have to deliver for them. And delivering for them is not getting sucked up into what all the media in the afternoon, oh, this is terrible. President Trump, it was terrible. You know, he treated Zelensky with no set. And did J.D. Vance do a good job? J.D. J.D. Whoa! Right there. Suck on that, Zelensky. Yeah. Take that. Hey, Zelensky, take that back to Davos, right? Have those Davos guys, right, clean that wound. They're all saying it was a setup. It was not a setup. I don't know if you had a chance. So it was 45 minutes long, 46 minutes long. And President Trump was very gracious. He was very magnanimous. He tried to work with Zelensky. They tried to go through it. It was Zelensky's arrogance. And he's entitled. He's arrogant. You know why? They think they deserve American money, that we're just going to be the suckers we've ever been, right? We're going to send our troops over there. Remember, the core of MAGA pays the taxes. The core of MAGA's pension funds and savings are what powers the oligarchs in Silicon Valley, what empowers American industry, what empowers private equity and venture capital. And most importantly, it's their money that has been and moved the jobs, the factories over to China, to move the jobs, all the high value added jobs over to China or in India. And it's their sons and daughters that are in the 101st Airborne Brigade in Romania on the border of Ukraine. It's their kids on those two battle groups in the Red Sea keeping the Suez Canal open so trade can go from the Persian Gulf and Asia up until Europe. It's their kids that are walking patrol in the Hindu Kush. It's the sons and daughters of the working class and middle class in this country, and not the elites, that keep this country safe and die on foreign battlefields of this country. And you expect them to go to Ukraine and be a backstop? Here's your backstop. That. Backstop that. Backstop that. President Trump now, and this is where I think we've seen a pivot. Look, it's 32 days or 33 days. Hell, half of you people have not sobered up from the inauguration. You're still on a high from that. It's 32 days. Every day is Christmas Day. It's days of thunder and years of lightning. There's 10 or 12 things every day. Hell, he did another 4 or 5 things, including making English the official language of the United States of America. That's a sidebar, huh? Just a sidebar. Come on. But you know why this happened. You know why this happened. When they ran him out of town after stealing the 2020 election. Come on, folks. The 2020 election was stolen, flat out. Flat out. That's the railhead. That's the railhead. And it was providential. I was there. I had a ringside seat in 16. I came in with like 100 days ago, 90 days ago, I don't know, 8, 10, 12, 14 points down. Who knew, right? But we had a man, we had a message, we had a plane, and we had an audience called working class people. Right? And we defeated her and the Clinton Mafia, who were so arrogant. She didn't go to Michigan. She didn't go to Wisconsin. She barely went to Pennsylvania. Those working class people didn't deserve her to go there. Donald Trump went, and that was providential. That was providential. We literally had nothing. The stealing of the 2020 election was also providential. The hand of God worked. Think about it. President Trump had had another term back to back. Right? Of all the hate and discontent, what we got to see is the spiritual warfare this republic's under. We got to see the demonic nature of our opposition. What they did is not human. What they did is demonic. Look at the cultural issue, but look at this. Right now, we got a bill in front of us for the deportations. It's $175 billion. Ben's been on $175 billion. 175. What in the hell did they do for 4 years? Who did they let in this country? They understand there's 10 to 12 million illegal alien invaders have come here just when Biden took the oath of office, right? We saw culturally what they're trying to do. Look at what's happened in the schools. Look at how they ran the COVID. This was a totalitarian dictatorship to crush you. And remember, to crush Trump. They never thought Trump was coming back. When Trump left Andrews Air Force that day, they thought he was gone, right? Two things brought him back and brought the days of thunder. Number one, the precinct strategy. What we did is just people started... Because guess what? You get a rally point. It's just like in any military conflict. Okay, we took one on the chops. They stole it, but guess what? We were out of power. So what do? You go back to basics. You've got to move the chain, and that's what happened. The precinct strategy, and then people started taking over counties, and people started taking over parties. Look at what happened in Texas, right? Look at what happened in Texas. You guys turned around the Texas Republican Party to a MAGA party. That was day in and day out, people that had not been that involved in politics. But also, at the same time, certain public intellectuals, certain people that have been with the first term, Brooks Rollins at the America First Policy Institute, right? Dr. Roberts at Heritage, right? Russ Vought at CRA, the Center for Renewing America, right? You had Stephen Miller at the America First Law. You had DeMint, you had Jim DeMint Meadows, you had the CPI, you had 5 or 6 groups, and what were they doing at the time? And it's called, under the headline, the name that should not be mentioned, Project 2025, right? You damn right, because it said 25 for a reason, because we knew we were going to win and we had to be ready this time. All those years, not just thinking the policy verticals, but also the teams. Remember, we get 3,000 people can hit the deck plates running day one. It's to build those cadres, to get that interaction, to make sure that people know subject matter experts. This is why every day is Christmas Day. It's not 2 or 3 things. It's 10 or 12 things. Been working on them for years. This is why the left is totally overwhelmed. This is why they're on their back foot. This is why they're saying, oh, Elon's the worst person in the world. Elon's doing a hell of a job on Doge, right? I got a lot of issues with Elon, but one of them is not Doge. He's a blunt force instrument, and he's giving the administrative state blunt force trauma, right? They don't even know what hit them. But it's every day. It's something, listen, this tariff strategy is brilliant. Now is it geoeconomically think it's just not, he's not looking at 25% tariffs on a Mexican avocado, and he's not looking for a 25% tariff on some under the hood engine part from Canada. He's looking at changing and getting revenues that this is a premium market. If you want access to this market, and why is it a premium market? Because of Burke's little platoons. It's civic society. It's the little guy. It's the little league coach. It's the nurse. It's the cop. It's the kindergarten teacher. It's Grapevine, Texas. It's here. It's Tarrant County. That underpinning of civic society is why people want to put their money in the United States of America, right? He says this is a premium market, and like any premium market, and this is the way Trump thinks, hey, you buy a skybox for a sporting event or a front row ticket for a concert, you're going to pay a premium to get here in the United States to get access to this market, or you're going to move your manufacturing here and you're going to create jobs. It's brilliant. The External Revenue Service. Anything better, right? He just sits there and goes, why in the hell is it all internal revenue? Remember, Hamilton is a pretty smart guy. He came up with the American plan. Up until the early part of the 20th century, there was no internal revenue, right? We all did it from tariffs and duties and customs. This is what Trump wants to get back to, and it's brilliant. And it's got the world's attention, right? Mexico, the left-wing president of Mexico coughed up 29 Kappa regimes. You broke in 24 hours the hold the Mexican left has had and the partnerships they've had with the cartels. This is the way you fight a war. This is the way you fight a war like the Chinese, unrestricted warfare. He's going to hit them with cyber. He's going to hit them with financial. He's going to hit them psychologically, politically, every different way. And when he finally gets down there with the CIA paramilitary and maybe a couple, three folks from the 82nd and 101st Airborne, he's going to take them out of Romania, he's going to send them down to northern Mexico, and they're going to leave a lot of dead, bad hombres, okay? And there's not going to be any fentanyl crisis. There's not going to be 100,000 people a year dying. It's obscene. So what does President Trump need? Because now we're going to get down to it, okay? Today, and you're seeing the whole media, it's a firestorm. Trump's terrible, Trump's awful, Trump's this, although a couple of three people in the Ukrainian parliament are calling an emergency meeting for tomorrow to begin impeachment proceedings on Zelensky. Right? You don't show respect to the United States of America as much as the United States of America has done for Europe. As many dead that we left on battlefields over there. Hell, the 8th Air Corps, I think there's 30 or 40,000 young men. We never even found their bodies. Right? Never even found their bodies. That's what America sacrificed for Europe in World War I, in World War II, in the Cold War, throughout the entire world. We never think of ourselves. And the working class of this country, they're not looking for a handout. What they're looking for is not to have a country that they have to have people who are not born here compete for jobs of American citizens. We have to clean that up. It's going to get cleaned up, but here's the tough part it's going to go. Right now, the budget, the CR, the reconciliation, you're about to go through tough times. We cannot kid ourselves anymore. This is why MAGA is so important. This is why you as a cadre are so important. You're tough, you're smart, and you understand we're going to have to take some political pain, right? It's a $2 trillion deficit as far as the eye can see. It's going to be $50 trillion. We're not just burying future generations, we're burying ourselves. Inflation, they just recast the fourth quarter inflation numbers, right? Because Biden's always recasting, right? They're creating millions of jobs, and next thing you know, well, it was only 100,000, right? Bureau of Labor Statistics, I think he's got 8 million jobs that they recast in Biden's regime. And by the way, in 4 years of the Biden administration, or the Biden regime, net not one job to a native-born American. All the jobs created went to foreign-born people. You can't have a country like that. You can't have the little guy that's competing with foreign labor in his own country, that his sons and daughters are on carrier battle groups. You can't do it. We're going to lose this country. And this is where it's going to get tough. They're going to have to be cuts. And you're going to have to be the people that have President Trump's back, just like we have President Trump's back on Zelensky. Now, look, they're all around him and the rhinos, and they had that lunch and breakfast with Zelensky. And Fox News, Brent Baer had Zelensky on. Are the Murdochs your friend? First off, talk about foreigners. I don't know if they're Australian or English or what the hell they are, but they're not Americans, I'll tell you that. Brent Baer's up there, and he's just lobbing it. Dude, it was coach pitch, right? He's just lobbing it up there for Zelensky. Well, do you apologize? Do you think? And Zelensky, no, niet, niet. You know, nothing, right? Right, you know, Fox, and they have Karl Rove on there, and then they got Zelensky. Is Karl Rove, I guess he actually is a Texan. Is that how they run things in Austin, is behind closed doors? So here's what I don't understand. I don't think the president understands. I don't think anybody in MAGA understands. Listen, here's the deal. Here's what people can't understand. Soros put $300 or $400 million in to turn this state, right? And you guys, as given the lineage and history of Texans being tough and being focused, right? You turned it around and won by 14 points for President Trump. The greatest single victory we had was in the state of Texas, right? And Ted Cruz of 9. So the whole world's looking at Texas. And here's what I don't understand. How in the hell, after that happens, do you have not just a rhino, but I actually think a Democrat as your Speaker of the House? It's one of the most powerful jobs in the country. No, how did that happen? How did that happen? It's the inside game. Now, here's another question. How does that guy then go and then pick all of his sub-chairmen or co-chairmen? They're all Democrats and all progressive Democrats. How does that happen? You understand the task in front of us, because I'm telling you right now, with the budget issues and the geopolitics and everything President Trump's got, he's got the CR, he's got the Doge cuts. We clearly got to do something with defense. We have to do something with Medicaid. We're going to have to do something with these other social programs. And it's not going to be easy, because it's not about race or ethnicity anymore. It's about economic distress. Hell, you go up in the American Redoubt, up in the center of Christian nationalism, up in Idaho and Montana. Hell, 80 or 90% of the babies are born on Medicaid. Working class people don't want to be on Medicaid. They want a damn good paying job for their labor and pay for their own insurance and get their own medical, or have their company do it. So we're going to go through a firestorm, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. And we're going to find out. Remember, all these CEOs ran to him right away. You know, all the oligarchs, they all came to him. Of course, they came to him after 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 5th of November, right? When Pennsylvania fell, all of a sudden, that was their road. That's their Damascene moment. That's their road to Damascus. Hey, guess what? I'm MAGA, right? They're not MAGA. They're a bunch of progressive Democrats. They were created by progressive Democrats. We gave them, by the way, we didn't have any antitrust whatsoever. We made a deal with these guys. Since the deep state says we're a hegemon, right? We will grant you monopolistic power, right? We'll have no antitrust, no FTC. There'll be no pricing at all, and we'll allow you to become the richest people in the world and the most powerful, some of the most powerful people in the world. And the Faustian bargain is that you just have to give us the commanding heights in the age of algorithms. In the algorithmic age, we have to have that, okay? So the two broad specters of that are social media, of which TikTok is a lethal weapon designed by the Chinese Communist Party that's so much more sophisticated than what these rubes have created, right? That now we either got to take it apart, sell it, shut it down. We don't know. Hell, it's so bad the Chinese Communist Party doesn't allow it in mainland China because they understand how addictive it is. And then on the other hand, on AI, on artificial intelligence, all of a sudden, wow, we have a Sputnik moment. It may be a Chinese psyop, but let's assume it's a Sputnik moment. the blunt force computing that was their methodology in artificial intelligence looks like overnight is not real. We got it. So for the Texas grid, right, as weak as your grid is, and sometimes it goes out in winter, right? They're talking about 10 times more power. You don't see these guys talking about the Green New Deal anymore. No Green New Deal. They need data center. They got to power data center. Hell, they're going to put them in national parks. They're going to put them all over the place, right? Think about it. They lost both wars. We gave them monopolistic power. They're not into markets or profits. They're into digital platforms and rent. They're rent seekers. We've allowed them to become monopolists. And so what's the first thing they asked for? The Wall Street guys in 2008 got bailouts of trillions of dollars, correct? To bail them out, and not one of them went to jail, right? I only think one of them went to trial. The oligarchs blow it against the Chinese Communist Party in the algorithmic age about both things that they're supposed to dominate, both of them, artificial intelligence and social media. What's the first thing they do? Go on TV. We need a Mercury space program, right? We need a Marshall program. They're asking for $500 billion bailout from people making $32,000 a year. Hell, this is as bad as Elon. In the first term, Elon used to come by every day. You know, his superpower is he's so relentless. He will come in every day and not remember the conversation the day before. I said, no, Elon, we're not giving you electric vehicle tax breaks. We're not going to have a person in West Texas making $26,000 a year that are underwriting you and your venture capitalists in Silicon Valley. It's not right, and it's not fair, and it's not going to happen. And President Trump had our back. These oligarchs are a problem. Here's why they're a problem. They're not progressives and you know, think of it like Rachel Maddow and the crazies on MSNBC or right-wingers. They got a whole different deal. They're techno-feudalist, right? And deeper and more and scarier is that they're transhumanist, right? Transhumanist. Now, folks here, and the values that have built Texas from a pretty tough and forbidding place into an economic superpower. Hell, Tarrant County would be the 37th or 38th biggest state as population. Hell, in GDP, you're probably in the top 15. You're a powerhouse. And look at the people that came before you, right? Look at what they sacrificed. Look at what they did. And you guys believe in the Judeo-Christian values of the Christian West, right? And what does that mean? We're made in the image and likeness of God and empowered by the Holy Spirit. That's not what these folks think. Hell, Homo sapiens, we've had, I don't know, a 100,000-year run, a 200,000-year run, a 2 million-year run, right? And what do they think? They see the singularity, and it's right there, and they only focus on one thing, and that's living forever, eternal life. You know why? They're godless atheists, and in their belief, the day it's over, it is over, okay? These people are very dangerous. And they're going to get to be a bigger and bigger and bigger problem. And everybody under 40 years old, as if you didn't have enough problems, right? No capital formation, inflation out of control, right? If you didn't have enough problems, now you're going to have a tough decision on your children because you worked hard and got into good schools and got good jobs by grinding away. Well, that's not going to be the future. You're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have a long conversation with your husband or your wife, your spouse or your husband, to sit there and go, do we chip our child because that's how they're going to get in Ivy League schools? Do you want to be part? We're not ready for that as a society. Remember, Jesus sent the disciples, I think it's in Mark 13. I'm not exactly a Bible expert, but I remember some of it. My Catholic upbringing. I think it's Mark 13. Jesus sends the disciples out to go and teach. And they come back and they go, hey, we were healing the blind and we were making the lame walk and all these things were happening. And he goes, that's good. And he goes, yeah, but they didn't say because you're a good guy or the son of God. They said because you're Beelzebub, right? You're actually a devil, and this is all black arts and black magic. Christ sat there and goes, there's only one mortal sin. There's only one unforgivable sin: to blaspheme the Holy Spirit. Is what they're doing is transhumanists, not blaspheming the Holy Spirit? Are we not going to be held accountable for that? And I'm not saying we can't make progress in artificial intelligence or CRISPR, but we have to have a national conversation of exactly the hell where we're going. Because if we let these guys in the apartheid state of Silicon Valley have the mentality of 11-year-olds, if we let them make this decision for this civilization, I will guarantee you we are done. Because they don't care about the societal issues. What they care about is digital platforms, transhumanism, and rent. They are rent seekers. And they see this as a way to become even more powerful. That's why the firestorm that is in front of us, supporting President Trump, having his back on these cuts, it's just starting. And all these people that came aboard, and you saw a lot of them at the inauguration. I want you to remember the inauguration 1 year from now, and I want you to think about all those new faces you saw, particularly all the corporation, all his buddies, right? Oh, yeah, we love Trump. Yeah, we love MAGA. You guys are great. All they did was the math, and they saw the fact we have a coalition that's growing. And if we keep it together and focus on middle-class and working-class people and put their interests first, like turfing out Zelensky and send him the hell out of here, right? And focus on the Rio Grande Valley and in Starr County, Texas, right? We will govern for the next 50 years. But they're going to fade off, and they're going to leave Trump hanging out to dry. And that's why you, as a cadre, become more important than ever, right? The hardest days of this is not back in 2021. You remember how dark those days were? Remember how bad you felt? You knew that Trump had won and it was stolen, and you're sitting there going, we're powerless. Trump's so powerful. Trump's such a strong man. Trump's such a leader. Hell, if they can steal it from Trump, what can I do? I'm just a little nobody, right? You bonded together, and that's why we took the long march back to the White House. That's your victory. It's coming again. The hardest days are ahead of us. And that's why I like exactly who's on our side of the football. Because one thing I can tell you folks, you're as tough as boot leather. And you're going to have to be, because we're going to be betrayed. We're going to have people that spin off and say, all we got to do is you have to moderate, you have to moderate, you have to moderate. Do you want Trump to moderate? No. Hell no. We want all gas and no brake. We want all gas and no brake. We want all gas and no brake. Are you with me, Tarrant County? Are you going to have Trump's back? Can you send a message all the way to Washington, Austin, Texas? Because if you have his back, if you refuse to be defeated, if you do not retreat, there's nothing but victory and sunlit uplands ahead of us. Yo, let's fight, fight, fight. Come on, man, let me hear you. You think Trump can hear you? Send Zelensky out of this country. Let's get him down to the Rio Grande Valley.
The great Steve Bannon, ladies and gentlemen.